You are listening to Unified Through Chronic and Mental Illness with your hosts, Angie Roberts and Kimberly Murphy. Please be advised that some of the topics of this podcast can be triggering and sensitive in nature.
Toxic friendships are all too common. 84% of women and 75% of men report having a toxic friend at some point.
Hey Spoonies, mental health warriors, our supporters and friends, welcome to another episode of Unified. I'm Kimberly Murphy here with Angie Roberts.
Hey y'all.
And today we're talking about toxic friendships. A lot of people talk about relationships and narcissism and all of those talks are going around the internet. Yeah, it's very popular. But today we wanted to focus on friendships because not all friendships are healthy. And I'm sure that a lot of people out there have a toxic friend or two. And so we thought that, concentrating on that a little bit might be good for all of us. So Angie, I'm sure, you love to define things and kind of concentrate on what this is. So what does a toxic friend do?
Oh, well, we have a whole list for our listeners. So we're just going to start it off.
All right, let's jump right in.
Constantly being humiliated under the pretense of a special bond. This is also a form of abuse, guys. Just because you're somebody's friend does not give them the right to humiliate you or put you down.
That's true. And, a lot of close friends, sometimes they'll have this, they'll kind of jab at each other and make jokes. And
right.
Some people are fine with that. But if you're constantly feeling like, it's hurtful, yeah, it's abusive.
Some people don't even like to be joked with like that. So
right, exactly.
Be careful.
You have to know. And they do feel humiliated. So you need to know. Right, exactly.
Right. Constantly taunting you or passing snide comments in a joking way, or start dropping insults in a group.
That's so horrible. Bad.
That's so mean, girl.
I know. Could you imagine if you're like in a group of women? Okay, maybe you're having brunch or something, and this girl's just like coming for you, dropping insults and I don't know, taunting you, coming at you. I don't know. I would be so upset.
Right, I would be too.
Because those type of women that they're like, they're kind of coming at you sideways. They're not really like, right in your face, saying, they might say like, oh yeah, I saw Carol yesterday and she went to the same salon, but she obviously went to a better hairdresser than you did.
Right.
And you're like, what? Did you just tell me my hair looks like crap? You know what I mean? It's kind of like that kind of thing. And it's really bad. There's always that kind of person,
And then they remind you all the time that they're joking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. You shouldn't hurt your feelings because I'm just joking.
And then they'll say you're sensitive if you're not okay with it. Yeah. So
yeah, or you have to kind of remind them sometimes.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
I don't know if that's like a huge red flag, but
I think it is like if you tell somebody that you don't like something and they continue to do it, or they tell you you're too sensitive or something like that, that is somebody not respecting your boundaries. So that's a big red flag, I think.
Yeah, not respecting boundaries is a huge red flag. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, definitely.
Boundaries, Kimberly and I are both learning to set boundaries. So this is an ongoing process.
It definitely is.
It's not easy for me. I know.
It wasn't easy for me last year. It was horrible for me last year.
Yeah.
I feel like it's easier for me now because I recognize toxic behavior really a lot quicker than I used to. You
Right.
know what it is? I recognized it before, but I made excuses for people
Exactly.
because I wanted to see the good in everybody. And there is good in everybody, but you know
And
what?
that's yeah,
You can't look at the good to the point where you're not seeing, you're dismissing the other things. You're dismissing the red flags.
that's why we titled this Red Flags Don't Turn Green,
That's
because they
right.
don't turn green.
And I
We
really
need to be
love
reminded of that.
I really love what my therapist says, and she says red flags are stop signs.
Right. Stop, do not go any further.
That's right. So if
I
someone's not
look at them
respecting your
as dead end signs.
that's true.
Dead
That's
end.
true. You're at a dead end. There's nowhere to go. If you're going down this road, you're going to end up in a dead end. Um,
Right.
because if in your boundaries, you need to let people know what your boundaries are. Um,
Yes. And
and
be firm.
and it's okay to do that. I think a lot of us as women, we feel like we're being too demanding or um,
You
some
don't
of
want to hurt
us,
somebody's feelings.
right? We want to get along. We want to go along to get along.
Right.
And that's really not going to help us make real friendships. It's not
No.
going to help us feel good about ourselves. It's going to make us feel extremely drained. Um, and we're going to
Right.
feel bad. We're going to feel bad constantly because we're not getting what we need out of the friendship. So set those boundaries. Don't let somebody do these things that we're about to talk about or the ones we've already mentioned. Don't let them do these things to you.
No, you got to stand up for yourself too.
Hmm.
And you mentioned feeling drained. That is another red flag that, after a conversation with the person or after a day out with them, you just feel
Yeah.
drained mentally, physically, emotionally. I
Hmm.
mean, if you go out and do stuff, you might physically be tired, but
Tired
it's
and drained
different.
is different. Yeah. If you
You're
feel
right.
mentally drained, like you just wiped out mentally, I think everybody kind of knows the difference.
Right. I just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure.
definitely, but yeah, like those type of people are probably not, you shouldn't feel that way after spending time with a friend. It should be a good
No,
experience. So that's a red flag.
it is definitely a huge red flag. Um, Another one is they vent to you about their life, but brush off your issues.
Mm. We know somebody that does this a lot.
Right.
Um, I wonder if people like this even realize they're doing it because they're so self-absorbed.
Right. I wonder too, because there was a time in my life that I wasn't so mm,
Like
can't
privy
think
to
of the
this
yeah,
or
yeah.
aware.
And so
Yeah.
I wasn't always a good friend.
Hmm.
It's just that's the truth. And it was always about me. Um,
Right.
I needed people to help me, help me, help me. And
I kind of went through that too for a while. Yeah,
I was younger, of
me
course,
too. Yeah,
but
I was in my teens, but yeah.
I think that you kind of go through that, some of that in your teens. But um, definitely when we get into adulthood, um,
You're supposed to grow out of that and mature,
right,
and not everyone
exactly,
does. So, yeah, I mean, if somebody's calling you and they, like a lot of people say, well, they do ask me how I am. But, if it's like, hi, how are you? I'm doing okay. I had a rough weekend. Oh, yeah. Well, listen to my weekend. They like
right.
kind of cut you off.
They
There are
try to
people like
one
that.
up you.
Right. And then they're like, well, I asked you how you were.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right,
When you say
right.
something to them like, you never talk to me or listen to what I have to say. Well, I did ask you how you were. So people like that, they're just trying to get things from you, but they're not actually contributing anything to the relationship. So that's another huge red flag.
Yeah, and they shrug off in distress, your distress. Excuse me. They
Hmm.
shrug off your distress. And a lot of times they'll give a fake sorry. It'll be, oh,
Kind of
well,
flippant.
I'm sorry, I was in a bad mood, or I'm sorry, oh, well, you're having a bad day, but my day's worse. That's kind of like goes along with what we were just talking about.
Yeah, they'll have any excuse, or it'll be flippant, like, I'm telling you I'm sorry because you need it, not because I actually am sorry.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so there's those people too. And,
And then
if you can't have
okay,
a friendship where you can actually talk things over, even if it's not comfortable,
right.
because friendships, I mean, when you're friends with somebody, you're always going to, at some point, have some sort of disagreement. If you can't talk about it and get through it, and you're going through this kind of thing where you can't even apologize when you're wrong, those are big issues. Those are big red flags.
Yes, definitely. I used to not be able to apologize very easily, but
Yeah, it's
now I
hard for some
just
people. It is hard for some
apologize all the
people.
time.
It's uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
And then this is another kind of mean girl thing. They
Hmm.
try to get you to gossip about your mutual friends. You
Yep.
know, they want you to talk bad about other people because they talk bad about other people, but they also want to say, well, so and so said about you, and that makes they start fights in groups of
I think
friends.
part of that too is they want to isolate you from all that, the group, so that they have
Mhm.
you to themselves. Um, at least that's what I think, because when I've been in those situations with girls like that, I really feel like that's what they were trying to do, is to get me isolated and close to them. Um,
Right.
so yeah, that's really abusive, because if you think about, like, guys who are narcissists, this
Yeah,
is one of the things they do. The first thing they try to do is isolate you. So
it's crazy.
if you get into like a gossip situation with mutual friends and they try to start all this drama, and they enjoy it, believe me,
Oh
um,
yeah.
this could actually cause real damage to friendships.
Yeah, and then you feel like you have to walk on eggshells around that person, and that's a red flag too. You should never have to feel that way
Right. That's true.
in any relationship you're in,
Right. Exactly. You should feel comfortable. If you
especially in
don't
a
feel
friendship.
comfortable, you're not friends. Like, come on. You're
With
not friends.
friendships, it's like your boyfriends or your boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever.
Hmm.
They are, you know, sometimes they're here, sometimes they're not always all the time.
Right.
And then, you go like I'm thinking of high school right now. And so, but your family, sometimes they can be a little iffy, but your friends are supposed to be the ones that are
That's
right there for
yes.
you and they're
I agree with that.
rooting you
Yeah.
on, you
Hmm.
know?
Exactly. And I don't think that changes when you get married. I think women
Right,
need to have other women to, their cheerleader, to support each other, and, you know,
right.
be there in good times and bad. Um, and if you're walking on eggshells, that's not a friendship. I mean, you, that would be a huge red flag for me. I mean, I wouldn't even consider that person a friend. Um,
Exactly.
so yeah,
Because you just feel like you might do something wrong at any time.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
They often compare you to others too. Why can't you be so like this friend?
Hmm.
Or, you know, this friend is gets more attention from guys because
Right.
you are bigger.
I
I've
was
heard that.
with, you have?
Oh yeah, when I was in high school.
Are you serious? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, if
You know,
you would just lose some weight,
oh my
be
gosh.
skinnier, like so and so.
But I've heard two things like, well, I was with so and so the other day, and when we were out, we had so much fun. And
Oh, right.
it might be because our day isn't going so well. You know what I mean? Well, I don't
Right.
understand this, because when I was with so and so, we had a blast here. I don't know why it's like this. And the person was kind of implying that it was because of me, and I wasn't as good as the other person or whatever. So
Right.
there's many ways that somebody can compare you to the other people. Uh,
Yeah, and
that's
it's
something to really watch out for.
definitely.
Mhm.
They also a big one, try to change things about you they don't like. So
Oh my God.
they don't like something, then you know they tell you you need to change it. This is I want to say this is in a relationship too, because don't let this happen, and don't
I
let a
think
guy or
all of
girl.
these could be in a relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just it annoys me when
I
people
can't
try to
imagine. Okay, but
change
let's
people.
let's think about this in a friendship context though, because that's what we're focusing on today.
Right.
So, how would a friend try to change something they don't like about another friend? I'm trying to wrap my head around where this would fit in. And I'm kind of stuck because I've known some toxic people and I really, oh, okay. So here's a good example.
Ding, ding,
Actually, I
ding.
actually thought of one. Ding, ding, ding. When somebody is a partier and you're not,
Mm,
and
yeah.
they kind of force that on you, and they always want you to go, 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 and it's hard for you to keep up with them. They want you to go, 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 and you're trying to say no, no, no.
Right, right. Or a
And
partier
yeah,
or
yeah,
a
things like
drug
that.
user or
Mm-hmm. Yep.
um hey, I don't like the fact that you don't ever skip school with us. You really need to come and skip school.
Right.
Or that's like would be teenagers, but
Or, even adults,
yeah.
why don't you dress a little better? Like, why don't you go to this place? It's a lot classier. Oh, here's one. This is a great one. Okay. I met this woman and she was like, don't you need to make more money?
Oh,
Don't you need to make more money? Yeah, but don't you need to make more money? And I said, I'm really proud of the things I do. Yeah, but don't you need to make more money? So
is
I
that
would
any of your business?
I would put
Right.
that in this category though.
Definitely.
And that
Yeah.
was a huge red flag. I mean, as soon as she said that, huge red flag. So yeah. That
Right.
hmm
That's
very judgy and very
and
strange. Yeah. So
it was, yes, because I remember the story when you told
mhm.
me, and I was like, shoot, what?
I know.
You also have a need to justify your other friendships to that certain friend, because that certain friend probably is jealous of your other friendships.
That's true. They're gonna
Um,
like talk down about the other people that you're friends with, and you're
right.
gonna have
Well,
to justify why they're good people.
right. Why are
Mm,
you friends with such and such? She does this, or he does that, or they do this. Um,
right. That's true.
And
Yeah.
you feel like you got to justify it. Um, like maybe you went out with a group of friends and you feel like you have to justify the fact that you went out with them instead of,
Instead of somebody
that other
else.
person
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Oversharing early in a friendship. Mm,
I've
if
had this happen to me too.
I've had this,
Recently.
yeah.
Have you too?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear about your experience.
Oh, well, I think we might have the same
It might be the same
experience.
person. Is it the same person? I
Yeah.
think we know. Okay, I think it is. Okay, so yeah, oversharing early is actually a huge red flag for real because it's kind of masking um, vulnerability.
Right.
It's masking. It's not real vulnerability. It's more like a what am I trying to say? Codependent.
Yeah.
Um, so
And they're very worried about what you're going to think about them too.
yeah, so they overshare. Uh,
It can be a codependent thing because they just want you to like them so much.
and the other thing is that if they're oversharing early, they could be trying to gauge what your reaction is, because if you are okay with some of the things that they said, or if you're responding and giving them certain information, they can then turn around and use that information against you.
Oh,
So
definitely.
you really need to be careful with this one. It's always a red flag. You can do a lot of research on this. It's never okay.
Right.
So
Right. And
oversharing early is a big deal.
I kind of want to say this. It's not off topic, but if you're the one that overshares, don't just know that you're just putting yourself out there a lot. I've known
Hmm.
people that do that, and you really are just putting yourself out there for that other person to pick up something and throw it back at you later
Yeah, and
because
some
you don't know
people,
really who you're talking to
yeah, and some
for a
people
while.
will be like, but a lot of people will say to me, "Oh, I feel so comfortable talking to you," and
Uh
that's
huh.
great, and that's
Yeah,
great.
same.
But it can be a red flag, and I guess you kind of have to just judge the situation as individually. But guys, don't don't tell somebody the first time you meet them your life story. It takes a little time to get to know somebody, and that's a good thing because it's supposed to take time to get to know somebody. You don't even know if you're going to like this person. It takes time. So why should they know all these secret things about yourself?
And then if you're oversharing or they're oversharing and you start to doubt everything they say, red
Mhm.
flag, red flag, red flag.
Yeah, like bold statements like I don't know, any kind of bold statement that just you just know it's probably not true. That's how blatantly obvious it is. You just know it couldn't be true.
Right.
And they think you're stupid enough to believe it.
No.
They're like so
I'm
confident in
sorry.
themselves.
That's the biggest insult to me is when somebody thinks I'm stupid.
Right?
I'm
They
so stupid to
must
believe
they
that,
must think that we're stupid or they wouldn't say it to us, right?
right.
So
I mean, I think they can pull the wool over our eyes, but
right. So if people are telling you things that are just kind of outlandish and you're just like sitting there listening to them and they're just confident in everything they're saying, they realize that they really think you're believing what they have to say and you're being played, you're being manipulated.
yes.
There is a
And
reason they are doing that to you. They have an agenda.
definitely,
Yep.
definitely have an agenda, and it's not a very good one.
Right. That's a huge red flag. That's like 3 red flags.
It is. This
Wave them
is
around.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
They never ask how you're doing.
oh, never.
Never, never.
They don't care.
No. I mean, some people, you know what though? Some people who are
Unless
toxic,
it's
they do because they want to be able to say that they do. I think as you get older, you kind of learn what tricks work. So they might ask you how you're doing. They might do these little things so that you're like, oh, well, maybe they're not so bad. But
right, right.
they're still doing the really bad red flag, like the really ones that matter, they're still doing those. So if someone's
Yes.
asking you how you're doing, it doesn't mean they're okay if they're still, you know, trying to change things about you or gossiping about, your other friends or oversharing early, So, you have to kind of look at the big picture.
Yeah, it's really hard when you can't be yourself with them too, because they have mood swings. You don't know if you're getting the mean person or the sweet person or the this person or the that person. Um,
Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah.
that's that's kind of like having to walk on eggshells too, but
I have a hard time with this one because we talk a lot about mental health issues.
right, right,
We know that there are people who do have mood swings as part of their bipolar disorder or many other things, anxiety, depression.
right.
Um,
Well,
but
but
what this
yeah,
is talking about is none of that. What this is talking
yeah,
about is real meanness, real, being nice or not being nice. We're not talking about depression or a high or a low. We're talking about
right.
um, how you treat somebody. So, uh, yeah, if you don't know how someone's going to treat you from 1 minute to the next, and you can't be yourself with them because you don't know what they're going to be like,
Right,
that's really bad.
right.
Yeah.
If they don't take responsibility for their mistakes either, they shove it off on.
They don't make any.
Exactly. They will shove it off on. Usually they're in a bad mood. They're doing,
It's
not
not
having
their
a good
fault.
day.
Somebody upset them.
It's somebody else's fault, right?
hmm And
So,
okay, so this I want to bring one up. Somebody who threatens self-harm. This is another one that's big. A lot of girls have done this that I know in high school all the way up until, now. Um, if they start manipulating you with self-harm because they think they're losing you, that
Red flag.
is the biggest manipulation. It's I can't even believe people do this, honestly, because it's such an
It's
insult to people who are really suffering.
it is.
It makes me so angry that anyone would do this and that anybody would do this to manipulate somebody else, because you never know if they really mean it. So now you're
Exactly.
in agony wondering if you really, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they know it's going to get your attention. Yeah.
Especially if they know that you care a lot about mental health,
Yep.
because like I always say, you always have to believe somebody when they are saying they're going to self-harm.
Exactly. So that's why this one is so bad. If a friend does this to you and you suspect it's a manipulation after the fact, after they're safe, it might be time to just cut them off completely,
Right.
honestly, because and give them a number to get some help.
Yeah, you can't be, it can't be somebody's therapist, and you can't be somebody's savior, and that's just too much stuff. It's too much.
And you can't be somebody's yo-yo where they're going
Right.
to threaten you with this every time they think they're about to lose you. And they think they're about to lose you because you're starting to figure them out.
They're extremely codependent too,
Yeah.
because they need you.
Right.
They think they need you so badly in their life,
Mm-hmm.
but they also treat you any kind of way at the same time.
Right. That's true.
Also, if you don't feel like you can ask for help from them, and I know that sometimes in our mental illness, we don't feel like we can ask for help from anybody, but if it's a friend and it's not your mental illness, and you feel like you just can't ask them for any kind of help, then they're not your friend, because
Right.
you probably help them a lot.
Mm-hmm. It usually works out that way because they kind of demand it.
Right.
It may not be obvious, but they demand it from you. So yeah. And I think that you don't feel like you can ask for help because they're so self-absorbed.
Right.
They've established that early in the friendship. So
You already feel like they're not going to help you anyway.
you already know you can't depend on them. Exactly.
Right. And that's so sad that it's so sad that we actually keep these people around.
Exactly.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's we try, a lot of us try to just keep the peace, and
We feel like nobody else is going to deal with this person, so they won't have anybody if I'm not there, kind of thing.
Right.
And we take the abuse. So it's kind of sad. They don't celebrate anything that you achieve. They're not there to say to you, I'm so happy that this happened to you. It's very rare that you get that acknowledgement. A lot of them are jealous, if something happens to you. I had a friend say to me, and this, I can't even believe I didn't clock her, to be honest, but I had a girl say to me, because she worked so hard, I was married, I had a house, I had a great husband, children, everything that she said she wanted. She felt I didn't deserve it because I didn't work as hard as her.
Oh, wow.
She actually said that to me, that she should have it and I shouldn't. What kind of friend is that? She couldn't be happy for me. She was jealous. So those type of people you need to stay away from. They are very manipulative. They just want to see you fail. They're happy that something bad happens to you. Yeah, I know. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And that's part of their manipulation. So
right. And then if you add gaslighting to that,
mm-hmm.
Gaslighting and manipulation are huge.
If they're good at gaslighting, oh my God.
If they're good at gaslighting, they're going to be great at manipulation.
You're
too.
gonna be you're gonna be in for a ride. Because
Right. So
yeah, I mean, we're probably gonna cover gaslighting in more depth. We've talked about it before, but we'll probably go into it more later. But go back to some of our narcissism episodes, and we did talk about gaslighting a little bit. Like I said, we'll probably go in deeper, but gaslighting is part of the way that narcissists actually manipulate people, where they try to change history, they try to make things seem like it's your fault, and you start to question yourself. The way they twist everything, they twist things in such a way that you start to doubt yourself, you start to doubt what happened, you start to doubt everything, and the way
think
that
you're
you
the one to
understood it,
blame.
like you're the one to blame. Exactly. So friends can do this too. So don't let that
Right.
happen. Don't let that happen. They say if you're in a bad relationship or a bad friendship, write stuff down. Write it down. Write down every weird thing they do to you.
That we don't forget, because we easily forget the bad things.
Yep. So if you're in a
Honestly.
really, really strange friendship and you're thinking, maybe this person is toxic, maybe I shouldn't be friends with them, start writing down these things, because you're going to need to look back on this, especially if you do break off the friendship. And because when you first break off a friendship, you're going to grieve and you're going to wonder if you did the right thing. And then when you have that list, because you'll forget, you'll say, well, maybe the friendship wasn't that bad. You'll have that list and you'll remember how bad it was. And they can't gaslight you if you have that list.
Right.
So
no, on May 5th, 2022.
you did this to me.
You said this.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, therapists say that that's a really good thing to do. So I just thought I would share that. I actually have done that recently. So it helped me. It actually helped me a lot. It really did. It really did. So I ended a really toxic relationship last summer, and that was part of the way I did it. So it works, guys.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay, so you feel dread when they call or they text you. Care to say anything about that, Angie?
No.
No.
No. Really, if you look at your phone and you're just like, good Lord.
Yeah. What now?
Not again. I don't want to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Why are they texting me? What do they want? I know y'all have said this to somebody. It's text or call. So
yes.
Well,
you and I had a friend. You and I had a friend who we're not friends with anymore, which is kind of why I was calling you out. You and I had a friend that we're not friends with anymore, and we were kind of both like that at the end, like, oh, here she comes again. No more text. So yeah, when you feel that, again, you already know that's your instincts telling you. You already know. You're already dreading communicating with them. So there's
trust your instincts.
Yeah.
You got to go with your instincts.
Yep.
They never settle debts with you. Like if they owe you money or something like that, they just don't care to settle that with you.
Nope.
It's not a priority to them.
I think part of it is because they feel deserving. They have a lot of them have a sense of entitlement. Yes. I wouldn't say all, but a lot of them do. So yeah, I think that's why.
Yeah, and then there's the ones that stand you up and cancel after you're on your way. Stand you up or cancel after you're on your way, excuse me.
That bothers me. That bothers me. I feel bad if I cancel the day before.
I know.
Could you imagine knowing your friend is driving, they're on their way to wherever you're supposed to meet up, and you cancel on them while they're on their way there?
Right.
I would be really upset. I would be really upset.
Right. And if they do it all the time, this is definitely a big
I wouldn't be making plans with them again. Yeah, if they don't respect your time is precious. You have one life to live. And if your friend cannot respect your time, they don't respect you. So remember that. They're basically saying that your time does not matter.
Right. Right. And they often play the victim too. So, and they can't accept criticism.
Yeah.
There is good criticism and bad criticism, and you have to know the difference between the two. But if somebody is trying to criticize you and tell you good things for your life, you need to accept those. And these people cannot, they just can't do it.
No.
And they play the victim.
They'll talk it. Oh, yeah. They'll twist it and say why that criticism is not true and how they are
Right.
actually the victim in that situation.
And they're always right,
Of
course.
About everything.
About it all.
Yeah. That's very true. I know somebody like that. Another person just came to mind, and we try so hard to help this person, and that's the criticism one ear and out the other.
Right.
And
It's very frustrating for
it
me.
is so frustrating because you're just trying to help, and it just they don't listen because they're
Right.
the victim. So they have this like repeated story going through their head, and it's just that victim story going through their minds, and it never changes. So yeah.
I used to be like that. I used to
Really?
think everything was because of something that happened to me. And then I realized that, for one, I had a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a
It
lot of
wasn't
that.
right.
And then two, I am responsible for everything I do in my mental illness, whether I am medicated or not. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the meds are working for them or not. They shouldn't do that to you.
Yeah, you can't blame your mental illness on your behavior,
Yeah,
guys,
you
girls.
gotta.
No.
When I get mad, like, I'm one of those people, when I get mad, I know that I'm mad. So I isolate,
Mm-hmm.
because I am going to say something to you that's not going to be nice.
Right.
So why, I don't know.
Well, I mean, whatever works for you, whatever works for somebody else.
Right.
We
You need to figure out what works for you.
Right. So that you're not taking it out on somebody else and then saying, well,
Right.
I have this disorder, and some people do that, and you're playing victim when you do that. There are skills that you can learn. Just because you have a mental illness does not give you the right to take it out on other people.
Yep.
So.
And you're always apologizing to them. I think we mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. You're always apologizing to them, and they're never apologizing to you.
I hate that.
Yeah, you get in an argument. Say you just get in a mutual argument, and you decide to say, "Oh, Kimberly, I'm sorry that I said this, this, and this." And
like, you're going to be the bigger person.
Kimberly just doesn't say anything to me.
Yep.
Or, well, you should be. Or,
oh my God, that would be horrible.
Yeah. It would be horrible. We would never say that to each other.
We wouldn't, but people do that. People do that.
And that's a red flag.
Yeah. You know what, though? There are people like that. When you go to them and you apologize to them, you're like, okay, I'm going to be the bigger person, even though I have a lot to say about this argument. Obviously, we just have to agree to disagree. And you're like, I'm going to apologize so that we can continue our friendship, right? And they treat you worse after you apologize to them. It's like, you just gave them permission to be a jerk to you, is what they hear.
Exactly.
Oh, it's awful. So yeah, be careful. These people who are manipulative like this and toxic, yeah, that apology is not going to go anywhere.
Right. Not anywhere at all.
No, it's not. Everything happens on their terms.
Yes, it's all about them. And when they have their time available, when they're available to talk to you, or when they're available to hang out.
Exactly.
Or where you're going to hang out, what you're going to do, what you're going to eat, how you're going to act, what you're going to wear.
There has to be a give and take in a friendship.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you should be able to say, hey, you want to go here with me? If they are like saying no to you all the time, no, I'd rather do this instead. Um, you know,
Right. And they get crazy jealous over anything that happens to you, which we said before.
yeah, like my
So,
friend, yeah.
yeah.
They're jealous over
So,
things that happen. They're jealous over your friends. They're jealous over anything, but
right.
they do not
But,
like your accomplishments. That's a big
but,
one.
right. And they don't want to include you in your groups of friends,
You're
in
right.
their group of friends,
You're right.
or in a mutual group of friends. They exclude you all the time when they're going out.
I
Or
don't understand that,
I don't
because
either, but that's a red flag, guys.
it is.
And
Maybe it just makes them feel superior. I don't know.
it has to. It's got to be it because they have picked who they're going out with that night
Right.
and who's going to be left
Who's
behind.
excluded, and then they're going to talk about that
Yeah,
person more than likely.
that's horrible.
And it's going to make you feel horrible.
Right.
You're going to feel like lonely.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about now. How toxic friends affect you. How does this affect you? Lonely and isolated. You feel lonely and isolated.
And they want you to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
hmm
Because they want to be the only one in your life
And they
that
want to feel powerful in your life. They want you to depend on them. So if you are waiting for them to invite you somewhere and you just jump at the chance because now you don't have your friends anymore, they feel powerful in your life,
exactly.
and it makes them feel important. So that's what they're trying to get.
Yeah, and so that friendship doesn't fulfill you.
Right.
That it leaves you feeling so depressed,
hmm
This increases your stress, you don't feel supported. Yourself as confidence and your self-esteem take a hit.
Yeah.
You begin to believe what they say. You start
hmm
to doubt your own strengths and capabilities. I mean, it's horrible. Your self-esteem may start to diminish.
Right.
You know, you've got to take care of yourself. You really could start to blame others for you start
Yourself.
to
Yeah.
yeah, you start to blame yourself for their behavior.
And that's
you know
horrible. I did kind of go through that because I was just like, well, maybe if I hadn't said something, or maybe if I just waited to talk about that, it
yeah,
wouldn't have happened.
I've been
Maybe
that into
maybe
that.
my
Yeah,
timing was bad. Maybe, you start to kind of question yourself and say, well, it's kind of my fault because I should have known better.
right. But
But when you look at the big picture, it's like, no, you should be able to talk about things anytime. And and if it wasn't appropriate, it's probably never going to be appropriate. And that's
right,
because they can't handle the criticism. So
and yeah, like I said, you start to begin to believe their insults.
mhm,
If whatever they're telling you, you're ugly or whatever, you're not cute enough to do this or wear that outfit or um whatever friends insult you about.
yeah,
There can be lots of different insults, but you start to believe that, you start to take that on as what you believe, and it starts to actually it will actually start to change your brain chemistry and the way that you think totally.
it
It
does.
changes your brain patterns to negative
Mhm.
brain.
The brain
It just changes.
pathways. Yeah,
Yes,
it does. And they do say that you are most like the closest five people you have in your life. And so
right.
you need to be very careful about who those five people are,
Absolutely.
because one toxic person can completely destroy the rest of the friendships that you have. And now you've got
Absolutely.
five friendships that are all toxic because of this one person.
Yeah.
And
And then
that's going
that's
to
going to make
affect
your
you.
self esteem
Yeah,
start to go down.
exactly. Yeah.
and then you start to feel off balance.
That was big for me. Remember when I used to call you and I'd be like, I'm so out of balance.
Right. Their actions or their reactions to whatever, they just makes you feel out of sync.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Your other relationships are so, messed up by it, and they suffer, and your whole life just feels upside down. And if you're starting to feel like that, any of these ways, I mean, I know a lot of you out there are probably listening to this and going, well, duh, but it's really not that way. Like, I'm sure a lot of you have had friends like this, and you're like, well, yeah, but she's not this way or that way. If there's a couple of red flags in your friendship with somebody, you really need to think about, is this person worth it?
right.
Are they really supporting me? Is this a two-way thing, or are they just kind of using me right now?
Yeah, I encourage you, if you have a friend that you're like, maybe not, listen to this again. Go ahead and draw a line down the middle of the paper, but green flag and red flag or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Check it off. Like,
Yeah.
nope, she doesn't do that, but yep, she does that. And if you've got a bunch of, you're going to see that person is going to bring you a bunch of red flags because
Yeah. If you're
once,
questioning it, your instincts are already telling you. So
right.
I feel like if you're already questioning it, you're probably already know the answer. But I really like what you said, Angie, because that's a great idea.
Yeah. Or go online and just Google it or something. But it's really unhealthy for us to have unhealthy friendships, relationships, or whatever.
Yeah, it is.
And then, you start to see yourself as a poor friend. You think you're a bad friend, and that's definitely not the case.
Yeah, that's true.
It's usually you're a great friend, and this person is just really bringing you down.
Yeah, they make you feel like your giving isn't good enough, and
Right.
you give a lot of yourself, and then you give
Definitely.
more, and then you give more, and it becomes really unhealthy for you too. Like you become unhealthy. So
Yes.
yeah, so you have to
mentally and physically,
absolutely. So
because they
you
go
have to be.
together.
They do.
So,
They absolutely do. So you have to be careful. The longer you stay in a friendship like this, and the more time you spend with that person, the worse it gets. So
right. I agree with that.
yeah.
So Kim,
how do you help yourself?
I was just going to ask you the same question.
Well, I can say that you set boundaries. That was what
Oh,
my
yes.
therapist said. My therapist talks to me about setting boundaries. We talk about it a lot.
We do too.
She basically says, whenever I feel like somebody has said something that makes like the hair stand up in the back of my neck, or like my instincts or my gut is saying, my gut wrenches, because that happens a lot when someone says something that's really off, to listen to that, because she feels like I have great instincts, and but I don't always listen to them. So she wants me to practice listening to them. And
I think a lot of people have wonderful instincts,
yeah,
but we don't listen to our instincts. We listen to something else that goes on inside of us.
right. And she said, I need to pay attention to inconsistencies, because
right.
there are many inconsistencies. There were, anyways, in my toxic relationships, and I could easily have seen that right away had I been paying attention to the big picture. There were red flags all over the place in certain friendships.
Red flags flying like referees on game day.
Yeah. But now I can see it right away. Like the first time I meet somebody, if they're inconsistent, I catch it right away. If they say something that's really toxic and off, I see it right away. I hear it right away. So
the more you practice,
yep, it gets better. So definitely practice those boundaries, and really you set your own boundaries. Mine is I'm not going to deal with somebody who is full of anger. I'm not going to deal with someone who lies a lot, gossips a lot, stuff like that. I'm not going to deal with somebody who has substance abuse issues, only because it's something that I can't personally handle because of my past. It's just something can't deal with. But there's certain things that I don't want to deal with. So those are my boundaries, and so I know what I can and can't do. And I'm not going to put up with someone who manipulates. So if I feel like you're manipulating me, that's
She's
it.
Going to call you out on it.
I am going to call you out. I will. And if that's not resolved, then we can't be friends. It's that simple. Yeah.
So another good thing to help yourself is to take space for yourself. Time apart from that friendship that you think may be toxic can help you sort through your feelings, and it also help you get clarity on what your next step should be.
That's actually really a good idea.
Right.
Because that's helped me with one of my friendships. We actually became friends again.
Well, people can change. I do believe that.
Yeah.
Most people can change.
Well, in our case, I found out in our case there was a mental health issue behind it. So,
right. So,
but I think it's good for people to get a break from each other if there's all of this manipulation and hurt going on, because nothing good can come from that. So you got to get space. And you know what? I would say this to people just so that they leave the toxic friendship, because that time apart usually is good because they realize their life is better without them. That happens a lot.
Right. And when you set those boundaries, make sure to be direct. Do not leave them confused about where your relationship or where you stand, where your relationship is or where you stand on anything. And always in a relationship, just be direct, and so that they're not confused.
And it's not like we're saying, okay, you meet somebody the first time and they say something and you're like, I don't like that. Okay, I'm just going to lay it out now. These are all my boundaries. What we're saying is,
yeah, don't do that.
That's what we're sharing. What we're saying is if one of your boundaries is being tested or crossed, that would be an appropriate time to say, this makes me feel uncomfortable. This is why, and I'm not okay with this. So that if they do it again, or this is a problem that comes up again, now they've crossed your boundary. Now this is a problem.
Right. And then I think they mean about where your relationship is. If you decide to not be friends with that person anymore, you need to make sure that they understand. Don't hum around or beat around the bush about it, because it can be very confusing.
Yeah, I think we all want to do a gentle fall.
Right.
And that's not good. Guys, I can tell you from experience, don't do that. Be direct. Just rip that Band-Aid off.
Right.
Seriously.
Let them know why. And, it's just, this is the decision I've made, and this is what I'm sticking to.
It's a lot better. It's a lot better. You can't cushion the blow.
Right.
It confuses them. It'll confuse them. So.
Yes, you have to take, definitely confuse them. Because sometimes I've been confused before too. So.
And they're already kind of delusional about who they are with you. So if you're not brutally honest about it, they'll make up stuff in their heads. Because remember, they're never wrong.
Right.
So
everything they do is right.
Right. Exactly.
Everything is on their terms.
Right. Exactly.
Take good care of yourself. Practicing good self-care, like spending time with loved ones. Making time for good quality sleep, y'all. You need to sleep. I haven't slept very good in 2 nights. I need to sleep tonight.
I know, it's hard. Sometimes, yeah.
Right. And focus on enjoyable holidays, hobbies.
Those two.
Yeah, those two. So that you can just take a minute for yourself. And I would say meditate also, because I am one of those people.
I would say go out and exercise, get into nature, because that's me. Whatever
would
makes
be
you
true.
feel good about yourself. I think basically what the idea is that you put yourself front and center again, because this person's
Yes,
probably taken up a lot of your time. So put yourself front and center again. And
definitely.
if you need help, don't be ashamed to get a therapist to help you get through this, because they are great at helping you get through any of the friendships that you have. If you don't know, if you're questioning whether or not somebody's good for you, they will help you with that. They will help you with setting boundaries. They will help you understand all of this. So, because not everybody does. I needed help with that.
Same here.
You know,
And if
I
you need a therapist and you don't know where to find one, you can always ask your doctor, or you can go to psychologytoday.com and type in where you live, and they list all the therapists and what their specialties are and all that stuff for you.
right. And a lot of times too, if you have insurance, you can go onto your insurance
Yes.
website and you can type in, and they will have doctors for your area as well. So lots of places to look. I really hope that this helped everybody, because
I hope so too.
it's really hard with your friends. And what's really been helping me lately is that saying, you're the 5 people that you spend the most time with is really what you're going to be like. So you have to decide, what kind of person do you want to be? Honestly. So be careful with who those people are. And it's okay for you to decide not to be friends with somebody. That's okay. Doesn't mean, and there may not be anything wrong with that person. They're just not for you.
Right.
And that's okay too. So think about how these friendships are affecting your life. Think about what kind of person they are. Look for the flags. If someone says something really out there, kind of question why they did. And I don't know. What's the mantra for this week, Angie?
So silly. A ship is designed to take you places. So if your friendship, partnership, companionship, or relationship isn't taking you anywhere, abandon ship.
Because I'm not going down with the ship.
That's right. Not happening.
It's not happening. We hope that you enjoyed this week's episode. We really hope you got something out of it. Share it. Please like it, share it, follow, subscribe. We really, really, really need the numbers to help with our algorithm. All of our social media information will be announced in just a moment. Please join us next week for a brand new episode. You don't want to miss it. Until then, thank you for listening, and please remember that we're stronger together.
Peace out, y'all.
Unified through chronic and mental illness can be found at anchor.fm/unified. There you can find all social media links as well as other ways to listen.